Okay, hey guys, yeah, so I've tried this video a couple of times now, and have not been happy with it, so maybe this will be a good time. This is going to be a things that I have finished video, and I know I just did one of these like a week ago, maybe a week and a day ago, but I've crocheted a butt ton of stuff. I tend to crochet when I get, not nervous, but maybe nervous, like just anxious about stuff, or if I need to get my mind off stuff. And with all the wedding planning and stuff going on, and just all of that, and having to like contact people and all that kind of stuff, it's just, you know, it's like a stress reducer. That's what I was trying to say. So, I've crocheted a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to show that to you, and I've got a couple things that are crochet related, but not crochet items. So yeah, I hope the light's pretty good. I did open the window. It's nice and sunny today, so hopefully the stuff will come out pretty good in color. Of course it'll be in color, but in a pretty good color. If you see, I don't know if you can see her, but if you see like little ears poking around on either side of me, or a little puppy face, Lola is over here on my side, and she's been kind of clingy today, so let's see. Here she is. I don't know if she just doesn't feel good or if she's just having a clingy day. But anyway, if you see her popping in and out, she's on the chair beside me. But yeah, so let me show you before we start. This whole thing is full of stuff that I've finished. Yeah. So when I say that I've finished quite a few things, I have finished quite a few things. So I'm going to put it beside me. I'm going to start with my things that I've been working on, my works in progress. I'm not going to show you the butterfly shawl because I have done nothing on it. And I have not worked on the one that's like crochet thread. And it's in the, like, I call them the Halloween colors. Not worked on that either. I have started 2 new shawls, which I know is silly because that's a shawl that I haven't worked on, and this is a shawl that I haven't worked on. But these are long-term projects. These 2 shawls are going to be, they're scrap yarn shawls, and I finished my last scrap yarn shawl, which is in this bucket, and I'll show it to you in a minute. But they take a long time because, you know, just work them out of scraps. So the first one is this one, and it's very small because I didn't have a lot of scraps because I just finished my other one. But this is just the start of it, and it's the same pattern that I do pretty much for all my shawls. It's a triangle shawl, and you can get that on Ravelry. So it's a super nice pattern. You don't have to have the written out directions and get them out every time you want to work on it. I could sit this down and 6 months later come back to it, and you just know what you're supposed to do. It's very obvious. So this is going to be the solid color one. And I decided to separate out my scraps this time and do my variegateds in a different shawl. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a row or 2 of black and then a row or 2 of variegated and then go back to black. So it kind of separates the variegated yarns. I haven't sewn my ends yet. I don't sew my ends usually until I finish, but so that's what that's going to be, as you can see. And it's going to take a long time because, you know, I try to usually work most of my, when I do my projects, I try to use most of my scraps in, like, the project. Not scraps, but I try to use most of the yarn when I'm working the project, and I don't usually have a whole lot of leftovers. So that one's going to take quite a while. The next thing that I'm working on, my kind of last finished, not finished project, but project in progress. That's too many P's. But the last thing that I'm working on actively right now is a cowl that I'm making, and it's going to be one of the, somehow it got backwards somehow. It got twisted, but it's going to be a one that you can loop twice, like double loop, so that's why it's kind of longer for a cowl. And it is made out of just red heart in this dark blue. It's either red heart or the Karen 1 pound, which is very similar. It's made out of this dark blue and a lighter blue. And I seem to always have this lighter blue on hand. It's kind of like that green that I've showed you that I always pick up. But this is all I have left of this blue. So what I'm going to do is work 2 rows of this blue. I've already got 2 rows on quite a bit. I'm almost done with this row. I'm about halfway around. But I'm going to work 2 rows of the blue and then go back to the dark blue and finish it up. So, and this is worked in a ribbed type pattern. It's not front loop, back loop, because I don't like the way that ends up turning out when you do them in the round. For some reason, I just don't like the way it looks. But this is what I do is I work front loop in 2 stitches and then regular in 2 stitches and then front loop and then regular, or front post, I'm sorry. Front post in 2 stitches and then the regular double crochet and then front post and then regular double crochet. And I think it gives it a nicer ribbed pattern. It just, you know, makes it come out better. To me, it's just an aesthetic type of, you know, it's just what I like better. So that is that, and that should be done pretty quick because, you know, there's not a whole lot of rows left on that. So I should have that done before too long, and I'm going to wash it. So, the next things, I'm going to get into my finished items. The next things that I have that are finished are some stitch markers that I made. And I had a lady contact me about some stitch markers with more letters, I guess, more sizes, you know, the ones that I make that have the hook sizes on them. So I made 3 sets, and she picked the set that she liked. So I put the other 2 sets on my Etsy page. And these are hard to kind of see, I think, on this camera, so you have to forgive me. And they got a little tangled, me messing around with them. But let me see if I can get them straightened out a little bit for you so you can see them a little bit better. These are the blue. That's a hopeless case. I'll straighten them out later. These are the blue ones. And they are letters, there's G, H, I, J, and K. And I made a set of like teal type ones. To me they look mostly green, but they're, you know, teal and green. And these I put on a slightly different kind of hook. It would be a little bit easier to hook and unhook for people. Same letters, just a different kind of hook like this. The next ones I made I would consider like for knit, because they're circles. They're on jump rings is what they're called. You know, at the craft store. I don't know why they call them jump rings, what the reasoning is behind that. But these are stars, and they're just on a couple of different sizes of rings for people who knit, you know, with different sizes. I thought those were super cute. And these are really light. That one and this one that I'm about to show you are a lot lighter compared to the ones with the stones on them. They're just the charms. The charms are really light, so... this one, I thought was really cute. Hold on, one got turned all the wrong way. What I did with these was I thought, well, you know, there's people who knit and crochet. Not me, generally. I don't knit very well, so I don't do a lot of it. But, and I definitely don't knit anything that needs a stitch marker. But, so I thought, you know, people who knit and crochet don't want to necessarily buy 2 sets of stitch markers, one for knit and one for crochet. So what I did was I made a set with, on one end is the crochet type hooks, and on the other end are the jump rings for knit. So I thought that was pretty cool. I'm sure I'm not the only one to ever think of that, but I thought I was pretty smart when I thought of it. But yeah, so those are my stitch markers that I've made new so far. And I'd like to think, I don't know if the people who, I had 2 people order stitch markers from me this week off of Etsy, and I don't know if they are people who watch my videos, probably not, but if they are, I would like to thank you guys for ordering those. It makes me really happy to know that people want them and that people like them. I'm I guess you'd call it a process crocheter. I like to make things. I don't really have a lot of use for all the things I make, so if somebody out there likes them and has a use for them and then will buy them, that's just great. It lets me buy more yarn and make more stuff. So I just want to say thank you guys if you are watchers or subscribers of my videos. If not, you know, it's out there in the world for everybody to know. But, okay, so now we're going to get my finished objects, my finished crocheted objects. And they're all in this bucket. Look at this thing. I keep calling it a bucket. It's really a basket, but I'm just going to dump it out so that I can put the items back in here as I show them to you. It's a lot of stuff. Okay, so let's just get right into it, why don't we? First thing, I did show you guys this one last week that was in progress, and now it's done. This is the cowl that I made out of the marigold color yarn, where I took the treble crochets and crossed them right here in the middle. If you see where my finger stuck through right there, I crisscrossed them, so I thought that turned out to be a really cute pattern. It's really cute. And I'll tell you more about these little things. You'll see them hanging off my projects. They're just, I write on there what it is and how much I have it listed for on Etsy, so I don't forget, because, you know, I really could forget. It would be easy for me to do. But, so I will tell you about how I make those and all that in just a minute, and the acquisition that I did for those. These are a pair of arm warmers, and these are kind of a smaller size. These, I'll put one of them on, but just know that these are kind of too small for my hand. I have a big hand. I wear a size 9 ring. So, while they do fit me, I made them smaller than I would wear on purpose because, my hand's bigger than average. So they would do better on somebody with a more small, you know, slightly smaller hand. But anyway, so I worked these. These are double crocheted in the round, and so I made the handhold, the little. I just can't talk today. Whew. Blah, blah, blah. There we go. Maybe it'll get me back together. I made the thumb hole I decreased it down here so that it came together, so it doesn't gap, because I found sometimes when I don't, it'll just gap open. It'll be a big old hole. So I really like these. They work good. They fit me, but they would look much better on somebody with a slightly smaller hand than me. So, like I said, I have a big hand. I don't know where I got that. I guess I got my dad's hands. But anyway, the next thing that I have several things that are kind of worked in this color. This is I don't have the label anymore. I know it was Red Heart. I think it's kind of a teal color, sea foam, something like that. And this is a headband I worked flat and then seamed in the back. And it is that sea foam color and then the gray. This gray I know is the Karen 1 pound in a gray. I made a shawl out of this gray that turned out really beautiful. I think I showed that to you maybe a while back. But anyway, just a headband. I thought it was really cute. I think this color contrasts really good with the blue. I made 2 of them. This one is slightly larger, and it's worked in the round, so it's a little bit more stretchy too than that one is. I like to work them in the round. I think it gives them a better fit and a better stretch. But what I did with this one is in the middle, when I switched to the gray, I held both strands together, so it is actually double-stranded in the middle with the gray and the blue. And what that does too is it gives it a little bit of a ridge when you're wearing it. My hair's everywhere. It gives it a little bit of a ridge when you're wearing it, which I think is just a cool added detail. You know, it makes it a little different. When you're wearing it, you'll be able to see a little bit of a rise right there. The next thing I have is this hat. This I do not have pictures of up on my Etsy page yet. This matches the cowl that I'm making. I took pictures of it, but I didn't like the way it turned out because it was really stiff. Because I'm almost positive this is Red Heart, as stiff as it is. So it didn't photograph very well. So I washed it, and now it's super soft. So I think it'll photograph really well. It's a lot more floppy. So I'll put pictures up, but it's the same blue and light blue, and then the same ribbed pattern at the bottom. I do like to add this rib pattern to the bottom of my hats. I just think it makes them fit better around your head right here. So you'll see I have another hat that's worked with that same ribbed pattern across the bottom. And let me find it. Here it is. This is, if y'all remember from last week, this is the hat that was giving me so much trouble. It's not really the hat. I think it's the yarn that was giving me so much trouble. It's super soft yarn. I love this yarn. It's a Karen. I think it's Karen Simply Soft. So, but it was just, I couldn't get the hat to come out right. I don't know what it was. It was just wonky. So I ripped it back, and I finally got a hat to come out right, and I washed it, and it's just, it turned out good. It's got that same ribbed pattern across the bottom. And it's just, I really liked it. It turned out really great with all the trouble that it caused me. The next thing I have is, I don't think I showed this to you. It didn't take me very long to work this up, so I don't think I showed it to you. This is a cowl that I made out of kind of a soft pink and a variegated that matches it. I made my mom a scarf out of this for Christmas a couple years ago, and it's just a really pretty pink color. Kind of like, I don't want to say salmon because I don't, you know, but it's a similar kind of, it's a soft pink, not like that kind of like in your face pink. So I really like it. It turned out really nice. I like that. It's just a double crochet. Most of the things I show you, I work in double crochet unless I tell you otherwise. Double crochet is my favorite stitch. I feel like you get, you know, a lot of height, and it looks good on with just about every pattern. So it's my favorite one. If somebody asks me to teach them a stitch, it's always the double crochet that I teach them when they're learning how to crochet. I think single crochet, you're just crocheting forever when it's a single crochet. So this is a hat that I made. You'll notice this is the same yarn. I think I showed you, same color combination. From last week I made a scarf, and it's done. I'll show it to you. But this is a hat that matches it, and I made a double yarn. I held the yarn double at the end. So that's this. It does seem, it has a little bit of a ripple thing going on, and that's because that the pattern I used, I crocheted doubled, and then I started a double crochet, and I reached back up. I skipped a row and reached up to the second row, and, you know, worked it around. So I think it squished it a little, but I mean, it's kind of a cool effect, I think, you know, especially when it's on a mannequin head. The same happened with this one, with the dark blue one. Before I washed it, it was really stiff, and so it didn't photograph as well as I thought it should. It didn't look as nice as it should on my Etsy page. So I might end up taking different pictures of this, and editing those pictures out and putting the new pictures up, because I think once I washed it, it became a lot more, you know, moved a lot better. So this is the scarf that I talked about, and y'all saw me working on it last time. I think I showed you. This was one of my works in progress. It's the same pattern as the hat. It works up really pretty on the scarf with these, and I might do this. I thought this would be really pretty in a Christmas color, I think I mentioned last time, so I might try that, you know, closer to Christmas. I might do a Christmassy one, or I might even do a Vanderbilt one, like a black and gold one. I think that would be cool. But it's a super long scarf. It is tripled over, I guess, here. It's folded up 3 times here, so it's really long. And I put fringe on the end of it that matches. I like my scarves long, so you can loop them around and do kind of cool knots with them and stuff. So that's that, and it's really soft because I washed it. I'm really, really happy with, I was a little bit hesitant with washing my items because I was scared after all that work, I'd throw it in the washing machine and then it would come out a hot mess. Like it would unravel. I just had an irrational fear about it. But Margaret puts her stuff in the washing machine and recommended it, you know, to people. She didn't really recommend it to people, but she puts stuff in her washing machine. She said it over and over again that it turns out good and that it gets really soft, the Red Heart does. And I finally tried it, and it does. It works really, really well. So the last small thing I have is I made another pair of these arm warmers, wrist warmers, fingerless gloves, whatever you want to call them. These match the hat and the scarf. It's the same kind of pattern. I tied it in with this double row down here at the bottom. These actually fit me better. These I made a little bit bigger. I would consider these like a large size because they fit me well. So, and I really like, I don't know what it is about these two colors together. I'll say it again, say it over and over again. I just really like these two colors together. Sorry, the window's open and I get distracted. I think I have a little ADD going on here. People drive by, I'm like, who is that? But anyway, the last thing I have to show you is my scrap yarn shawl, and I don't know for sure if I ever showed it to you in a video as a work in progress, because you know, it's always a work in progress with a scrap yarn shawl. You know, you just add a little bit on as you go. So I'm not sure that I showed it to you, but I will show it to you now. It's really large, so this is it doubled over. You're not going to be able to probably see the whole thing. So I'll just show it like that. Okay, so what this is just like it says, it's scrap yarn. It's yarn I've used in other projects, things I've made. If you have watched some of my videos, you probably noticed, like, here's the blue that's in that hat, and in this, it's a very similar blue to this. I worked a blanket, that blanket that was the crochet along blanket. This is the dark blue. There's the pink that I made the cowl out of. I'm always using this gold. So it's a lot of just scraps I collect and work together. And I think it turned out really, really pretty. If you go onto my Etsy page and look at the pictures for this, I mean, it's beautiful when you, like in the picture. It just, all the colors just turn out really pretty when you're holding it back far enough to see the whole thing. I was just really happy with it. So that's why I started a couple more. I just really liked the way it turned out. And that no two that I ever make will be exactly alike. So, what I do with that is I weave in my ends. I don't knot them. So, I have a jar. One day I'll show you my table when it's not such a mess. It's just a hot mess. But I have a jar that has scraps in it that's too small to use for anything, that I think they're cute sitting up there. And then I have a jar of scraps that are big enough probably for me to use in a scrap yarn shawl. And then I have a jar down here at the bottom of my table that is cotton scraps, because I don't want to use cotton in with my regular kind of acrylic yarn because it's not the same texture, and I don't want to mix those two textures together. So, but the scraps that are up here that should be long enough for me to use for my scrap yarn shawl, I'm saving them over here because I haven't figured out exactly how to use them. Because I weave my ends in, my scraps need to be pretty big. I mean, they got to be like this long at least to really see the color and not to have too many strands working in at once. So I've tried knotting stuff together. I don't like the big knots that it makes. I've tried the Russian join. I can't seem to get that. It's just too much for me. So if anybody knows a way to join yarns together that doesn't create such a large knot, if you'll let me know down in the comments below, I'd really like to use, especially some of the little bitty ones. That would be fun if I could somehow get them together. And I don't know if acrylic yarn, if I could maybe melt them together or something like that. I need to maybe investigate that more. But, oh, I'm not done. I have one more thing to show you. My acquisition, or something that I bought this week. You've seen the paper punch that I bought to make the tags with, and I still like that. The only thing is, it's really loud, and you can hear it in the other room, and it bothers the dogs, and plus, you can't see when you put the paper in it where the paper is going to go, and you waste a lot of paper with that. So I got a coupon from Michael's in the email that was 50% off an item. And I was like, shoot, I got to take advantage of that, because you don't get those very often from Michael's. So I went and I found this one. This is a different kind of paper punch. It's made by, it just says EK on it. That's all it said. And it's still heavy duty, still pretty, like a good, solid made thing. But I like it because it's so much smaller. It doesn't take up nearly as much room. What it is it's got this slide at the bottom, and you just slide it up and it pops open, and then you can punch. So, and what it does is it just makes like a mason jar punch at the end. And you can see when you put the paper in all the way around it and inside here, and so you don't waste nearly as much paper. And it punches through regular cardstock paper really well, and it doesn't make a horrible amount of noise, so I don't bother everybody in the house. And and yeah, it's mason jar, so if you've watched a couple of my videos where I've mentioned wedding stuff, you know that my